Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to whoever it is in the world you are streaming here on Twitter, as well as those of you in the spillover room of YouTube. I know that sounds a little derogatory. I apologize, but those of you on YouTube, hello and welcome. 9:06 p.m. Pacific time. Wednesday, I think. I've lost track of the days, quite honestly, and I'm not even kidding. I think it's Wednesday, May 6th. Yes, Wednesday, May 6th. Second round of the NBA playoffs underway. I'll be with you for the next hour or so talking about it all. Got a blowout here in San Antonio as we go live just as the fourth quarter begins, but haven't said hi to you guys in a minute and thought I would stop in and say hello. And real quick, let me get something off my chest. The amount of times that I get messages from you guys like, go live, go live, go live. I'm not going live every night. So get that through your heads. I'm not going live every night. Why isn't he live? Why isn't he live? After game one, Minnesota and San Antonio. We go live when we feel like it, when it's the stars align. Okay? Got to leave you wanting more. Can't just go, I can't set the cadence of every single night, otherwise I'll just die. Not made for that shit anymore. Where's Wob? Where's Wob? I'm right here. So you better show up to these shows because they're not always going to be when you want it the most. Fair? On that note, yes, first comment I see is about the hantavirus. Can I ask a quick question before we get to basketball? So did they diagnose these people before they let them off the cruise ship with the hantavirus? Because now there's some back in the United States who are showing symptoms which do not flare up until 30 days after being infected. And now we got people in the continental United States with hantavirus. What, is there no quarantine period? Because this happened in international waters, we just send them home to wherever they're from? I don't know if that makes a lot of sense, but hantavirus, as I'm told, is one of the nastiest things on the planet, and now it's here. So yeah. I have been watching the news too, clearly, and we got people with hantavirus. All right. What's up, chat? Defense just said, I just saw the ghost of Manu Ginobili. So these San Antonio Spurs figured out something tonight. And I think the strategical, if I had to tell you how I think the Spurs made a mockery of the Timberwolves, so it was pretty clear how Mitch Johnson and the Spurs recognized that their roster construction is going to be putting four guys on the floor concurrently that are smaller than the Minnesota Timberwolves lineup. And that was certainly exploited in game one. And I certainly, while we're on the question of like playing hindsight games here, I'm so bad at this. Every time I have a fucking thought, I always like take a step back to say something else and start telling a different story. It drives me nuts, and I'm the one talking. I'm sorry if that's annoying. I've been flustered all night because of that Knicks game. I'm in a bad mood, even though I won all of my bets, which I'm very pleased about. But it's been superseded by my frustration with the Knicks, and it's making it difficult to articulate my points. So can I please restart? Let me refresh. The road I'm about to go down is addressing the San Antonio Spurs, five guys on the floor, which is usually four point of attack defenders. I would consider to be smaller front court guys or backcourt players, with Victor Wembanyama as the nucleus, the anchor, obviously. And what the Timberwolves did so well in that first game was take Gobert, Randall, and Naz Reid and really assert their physical dominance and height advantages against a team that, quite honestly, cannot handle those guys on the glass or down on the blocks. And because Anthony Edwards is now back, because Ayo Dosunmu was back tonight, I did, like, in a weird way, I was skeptical how this is going to affect their production, because you kind of have to play Ayo. You kind of have to play Anthony Edwards. Considering Ayo gave you 40 plus in a playoff game, Anthony Edwards is the face of your franchise. But in a weird way, it was going to siphon minutes from that triple jumbo lineup that Minnesota has had to put out there. They were forced to run multiple games with Gobert, Randall, and Naz Reid on the floor at the same time. Those are three gigantic human beings who all play big. And then you flank them with Jaden McDaniels, who can play a small ball five any day of the week. You now have four guys on the floor concurrently that are overwhelming physically for most teams, let alone one that plays small with a bunch of hyenas on the perimeter like OKC. Because Minnesota was forced to do that in game 6 with only 8 men available, because they go to an 8-man rotation for game 1. We see those lineups, and guess what happened, people? In game 6 against Denver, plus 19. It's a small sample size, but a plus 19 from the Randall, Reid, and Gobert lineups on the floor together. In game 1, plus 9 from those three. But now that Io's back, I don't think we saw it once technically tonight. Now that they have more bodies that they're willing to put into the game, Bones Highland is getting more minutes because he was banged up at the end of the Denver series as well. I don't know if we're ever going to see the triple jumbo lineup again, and that is where Minnesota's advantage is in this series. So this now segues to the point I was trying to make originally before I flustered myself. So how would Mitch Johnson, knowing that Sham Penny, De'Aaron Fox, Devin Vassell, who else is usually out there? Steph Castle are on the floor often together. A lot smaller than those names I just mentioned with Minnesota. Watching them blitz whoever had the ball, crossing half court, sending double teams, they really relied on their speed in if that pass goes over the top or it hits a flasher in the middle of the floor. That they were using those perimeter defender speed to be able to scramble and get back to their assignments, because we may not be bigger than you, but we are certainly faster. And there is a strategic idea that if you're going to consistently double, no matter who has it, because Anthony Edwards wasn't even starting, but no matter who has the ball, if you double team him, the one place you can't let someone break that pressure is in the middle of the floor. Anyone that's played hoops before, when you are breaking a press, just don't let the ball get to the middle of the floor, because then the world is your oyster. You have all the optionality in the world. And I thought San Antonio strategically tonight took away that flash pass so that Minnesota could only operate along the sidelines. Then you play east-west basketball as opposed to north-south. And at least for tonight, it worked, because those double teams were messing up Minnesota's offense for the entirety of this game. As I'm going live right now, and there's still 4 minutes and 37 seconds left, and the score's 124-79. Jaden McDaniels was in foul trouble. That certainly did not help. Someone in the chat, I think this is Wolves guy, said they only doubled and blitzed Anthony Edwards. Wob, what did you watch? I watched the game, moron. Any news on OG? Wait, I said hantavirus, right? Hantavirus. Hanta? Did I pronounce it wrong? Oh, yeah. So let's talk about that Knicks Sixers game from earlier. The reason why I was so annoyed. Mainly because OG gets hurt with 2 minutes to go, and that was a hamstring. He's had hamstring issues in the past. The Knicks are going to be dead silent about this, by the way. Dead ass silent. This might as well be the Soviet Union, the way that they propaganda any sort of injury. They will say hamstring tightness, questionable for game 3. Or maybe not even hamstring. They'll just say general discomfort. They will give away nothing. But considering OG's past, a hamstring injury flares up, he could be out for the rest of the series. He was really hobbling around. He had to take himself out of the game, and he's been the Knicks' most important player this playoffs. I know Jalen Brunson exists, and I know Karl Anthony Towns is the priority, but OG Anunoby has continuously bailed these guys out with Hail Mary grenade threes twice against the Hawks to practically seal victories. every single time your offense goes to shit, OG Anunoby has been there to bail us out. He has 4 steals tonight. He can switch onto positions 1 through 5 defensively. So anytime the Knicks have a meltdown or someone gets caught in a screen, it's always OG there to either rip, disrupt, or reject someone at the rim. So if he's going to be hurt, the dynamic of this series changes completely, because I think he's the one guy the Knicks cannot replace. Usually when Karl Anthony Towns is out there, he's got Mitchell Robinson in his back pocket. And that is why Mitchell Robinson being out tonight was going to be a bigger issue more than anything. Anything, even with Embiid. Because yes, Embiid got Mitchell Robinson, got Karl Anthony Towns into foul trouble in game 1. But if Karl Anthony Towns decided to do that bullshit where he gets into foul trouble, self-inflicted wound style, not because he got too aggressive down and, throwing an elbow, trying to get nasty down there and be the bodega cat. But when he does that bullshit where he, let's say, sets a screen and decides to just stick his hip out for no reason, when he invades the landing space of Tyrese Maxey on a closeout for no reason, especially when you go into drop coverage 99% of the time, the one fucking time you decide to show and hedge, you recklessly close out. So there was 2 fouls. Then he had like a reach-in foul where, similar to Embiid, he's just reaching for no reason, and it's the most obvious fouls in the world. And then he gets hit with one on a Maxey dribble penetration drive where he thinks he goes vertical. Those ticky-tack ones always add up with Karl Anthony Towns. And boy, did the Knicks almost pay the ultimate price tonight, as he could not just stay out there. And for as much as I have championed this Knicks team this season, from day one, I've thought that they are going to be the favorites in the Eastern Conference and ultimately win it. And I'm sticking to it. I don't think they can win the championship. I think they can win the East. The reason for that was because there are very few matchups in the world that are able to negate or nullify the advantage that Karl Anthony Towns provides as a versatile big man that is unanimously the best shooting guy in the world. He's the best shooting 5 in the world. In every single possession that you run in the final 5 minutes of the clutch, which is 3 possessions per minute, 5 minutes equals around 15 total. Every single possession that's had where he doesn't even touch the basketball is a possession lost. And I don't care what the result of the possession is. You can score points. I'm still going to consider it a failure. And to watch Mike Brown appropriately call 2 use it or lose it timeouts, 1 at the 4-minute mark, 1 right before the 3-minute mark, to set up ATOs. Do you know what the result of those ATOs were? 1 was a turnover, and the second was practically a turnover, none of which result in points, and Philadelphia going the other way in the secondary transition fast break. Both of those ATOs are designed to get Jalen Brunson the basketball, but it's inbounded to the coffin corner where he's just dead, where he is completely dead. Watching the Knicks telegraph their final 5-minute offense has been tedious for some time, but they still get wins. Now, when you have a former clutch player of the year, your captain, Jalen Brunson, hit that little weak side fade away from the nail on the free throw line, that tear dropped over your television screen. I think it was over Dominic Barlow. Is it Dominic Barlow? Derek? I still don't know if it's Dominic Barlow or Derek Barlow. I think it's Dominic Barlow. Tear drops over him, goes through. He hits another tough one. Mikal Bridges ends up hitting this midi after a complete fumbling of the offensive possession where the Knicks miss a dunk. They end up fumbling a pass because they threw it at Cat's feet. It just ends up in 2 points. Then there's the OG Anunoby bailouts. The Knicks got so lucky tonight. But my point here, regardless, stands that when during these ATOs, watching Karl Anthony Towns stand in the opposite corner with his hands on his hips and just bird watching or gargoyling is a lost possession. It is something that has driven me mad this entire season, how he is not integrated and prioritized in the offense to start games. That has been remedied. But now to watch them close out when he has a mismatch, honestly, the biggest mismatch he may have had all season long, not against a team like the Washington Wizards or the Utah Jazz or just sending out these 6'6" G Leaguers, to not force feed that man down on the block or to run a flex cut for him to get the ball at the top of the arc where he likes to palm that shit, survey, and then ends up always throwing a dime pass to someone coming off a flex cut that results in a bucket. Your offense has to run through him. Jalen Brunson playing off of him almost always results in an optimal look for Jalen. Almost always. But when Jalen goes to hero ball, it's an opportunity for the defense to send a double team, like we saw from the San Antonio Spurs tonight, what they were doing with Ant-Man and Jaden McDaniels. Everyone, any initiator of the offense is getting a double team sent their way. Jalen Brunson, all he saw tonight was double teams. You know what the difference is between a double team down on the block and a double team at the top of the arc near the logo? Is you can get away with the one at the top of the logo because there is room and time to scramble and locate someone to latch onto. When the ball gets to the block and you're being guarded by Paul fucking George, who's given away probably 5 inches and 75 pounds in the tail of the tape, the gravity hits different. Because when the defense collapses, now those skip passes and the guys driving through the lane is a significantly different and more optimal look than when you are flashing to the middle of the paint to bail someone out who's getting trapped at half court. There was that one possession where Cat got nasty with Paul George. He drop stepped, he cleared out with his elbow, and he reached back and he tried to rip the rim off the backboard, and he ended up getting hung with a spine buster, and the ball like kind of and just went up into the air. And after that, Karl-Anthony Towns was hardly involved. It's really difficult to bitch about a team that has just made a historic run in beating the shit out of teams the last week. It sounds very hyperbolic and prisoner of the moment. And maybe it is. But I've seen enough from the Knicks offense this season that when they get a lead and they start bleeding that clock, they telegraph their offensive sets worse than anyone out there. You know exactly what's coming with the Brunson hero ball. They're going to try and surround him with OG and McHale in the corner. They'll occasionally flash. You get some weak-ass screen from Karl-Anthony Towns that if it doesn't result in an offensive foul, he just totally clears out, and then you let Brunson go win you a basketball game. And he's good enough to be able to do it. But how they are not able to replicate the looks that help them build leads, which is almost always through Karl-Anthony Towns, how you're not able to replicate that in the fourth quarter remains a very big frustration with me. Only good things happen when Cat gets the ball at the nail on the free throw line. There is no one, especially with Joel Embiid out there, that is going to be able to stop that man when he puts the ball. He's just too big. He's just too skilled, too talented, too fast, and too strong. And how he can get to the rim whenever he so pleases is not only supported by the analytics, but quite honestly, everyone's eye test too. And you go into a game without Joel Embiid, where you have a significant sample size to analyze and choose from, because if there's any team who's missed their star more, it's probably Philadelphia the past couple of years. So you know exactly what Philly is going to do because they have shown us. They're going to unleash Tyrese Maxey in their youth movement in the open floor because they do not have to slow it down into the half court so that Joel Embiid can come down. We can establish him on the block in the same way and run our offense through him. We are going to go, 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 push, 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 push. And the way to stop that is to kill them with layups, free throws, entrenching your defense, and staying in front of your assignment on the other side of the floor. Easier said than done when Tyrese Maxey's the fastest, not one of, but the fastest player on planet Earth with the ball in his hands. But I felt like the Knicks were forced to play 76ers basketball tonight and their preferred style of regular season pace and space. The Knicks did not assert their physical dominance with the front line, mainly because Karl Anthony Towns, once again, with these stupid, egregious fouls, ticky-tack fouls, and then when he commits a real one, he's got to come out because he'll just keep doing it. He just can't help himself sometimes. He feels the need to always close out, man. Just let it go. You are too important. And when the Knicks don't have Mitchell Robinson, you can see why they're so vulnerable. That is another, probably the most important role player or bench player in the entire NBA, because he would have eaten that Philadelphia 76ers team alive tonight. Instead, you got Ariel Hukporti, who cannot be out there. He cannot be out there again. He is just a big body, and that's it. There are guys who play bigger than him, and he's nearly 7 feet. Mitchell Robinson would have ended this game with 15 rebounds. He was out due to an illness. And now potentially without OG. So I am a little pessimistic after watching a win, which is a strange thing to say because you would rather win ugly than lose pretty. Hopefully the thought process is we played terrible. Let's just forget about this and move on. But I don't want them to do that because the process is broken after this game. Until I see Karl Anthony Towns prioritized in the half-court sets where the first pass goes to him, I'm talking plan A, not hitting him with some step-in bailout bullshit because the other action failed. I want the initial action to go through Karl Anthony Towns. And every time that the Knicks have done that, look what they just did to the Atlanta Hawks. Look what they did to the Philadelphia 76ers, where the simple flex motion is run by this team to get him the basketball. Every possession that does not touch his hands in the first 10 seconds is a waste. And the Knicks, it will inevitably be the Knicks' demise. And that's where I'm pointing the finger. Questions, chat. Liquor House says, Hanta, are we watching Outbreak? Is that what the disease was in the movie Outbreak, the hantavirus? Because that shit looks scary. It sounds scary. And if you've been watching the news, you obviously understand that there's an entire cruise ship up in the doctor that was trying to treat everyone, ended up getting the hantavirus himself. And now everyone was sent back to their home countries. Actually, it seems a little early for that. Lorenzo in the chat says, Knicks medical team should just hire Anne Hathaway. OG's hamstring will feel a lot better if he has Anne Hathaway, who's on Wobb's hall pass list. Let me get this stream up. Get Anne Hathaway to rub down those hamstrings. That'll help for sure. Oh, we have a jumbo lineup alert. Plumlee, Bismack Biyombo, and Kelly Olynyk just closed out the game for the San Antonio Spurs. What's funny is they have access to some of those big guys, but they're just not part of the rotation. What's up, Sam? Says they'll figure out the non-cat offense soon enough. They just figured out how to play with him. Yeah. He's been on the team for 2 years now. What frustrates me the most? So I ended up going to the Lakers game during the regular season. I think it was in February or March or something. It's usually around Oscars weekend. I went to the game for the sole purpose of getting a credential and asking Mike Brown this very specific question about Karl Anthony Towns. And I believe almost verbatim, I said, Coach Brown, I'm curious your thoughts about prioritizing Karl Anthony Towns in the first quarter, and if you think it is something that's important, and if so, how do you plan on executing that? Implying that at the time, Knicks fans are growing frustrated because Cat is just another piece on the chessboard when he's a lot more valuable than that. And his answer was like, man, everyone's important on this team. We got to get everybody going. And I'm like, ugh, this fucking PC answer. But it's also telling us that he's not singling out Karl Anthony Towns to be the guy with the highest usage and when every single possession has to touch his fingertips. So he kind of gave me, his non-answer gave me the answer. And that has been consistent since that day. Previous to that, when the Knicks were going through some of their lows, it was almost always because Karl Anthony Towns finished the game with 7 7 field goal attempts. Like Cat, fucking Cat, playing 30 minutes, 35 minutes in the regular season. How does he finish a game with 8 shots? And this happens so regularly. Go back and look at some of Karl Anthony Towns' box scores from April, even before the playoffs. You will find the number 12. The number 12 is consistent because it was the number of shots that he got up quite literally every single game. And if NBA.com would allow me the opposite, he shot 8 times tonight. He shot 11 times in game 1. The blowout win against Atlanta, he shot 4 times. The game before that, he shot 7 times. And while I understand he's not going to actually get shots up every single time he touches the ball, increasing the volume there, this will naturally follow. It's that will always frustrate me the most. Period. And I'm ready to move on from this. Nice white men can't jump reference about winning. Wait, no, that reference it comes from it comes from Billy Hoyle telling Sydney, he goes, black people would rather look good than win the game. And he's trying to make the point that I'm here to win, right? And that's how they end up doing the dunk contest at the pickup court. I guess this is a variation of it, but sure, I would prefer to win ugly than lose pretty. So I think that's what you meant when you made that reference in the chat. If Mitch played, the Sixers likely lose by 10 plus. Are you this upset and negative? I would still be adamant that this is the Knicks' biggest issue. It's been their biggest issue, and you can get away with it against a team that doesn't have their best player and an inferior opponent like the Atlanta Hawks. If they had Mitchell Robinson tonight, it would have been a Band-Aid on a broken bone. Because Mitchell Robinson would go out there, he'd get every single rebound. He would have created like 7 second chances against the Sixers. The Knicks probably build a double-digit lead, and then you kind of just forget because the Knicks are starting to pull away. But I don't want the results to supersede the process because you're not going to beat the Thunder in the finals with just results that got you to that point. The Thunder, especially against the Knicks in 4 games in the last 2 years, had prevented Karl Anthony Towns from getting up a single 3-pointer in some of these games. I'm talking like 5 to 7 field goal attempts max. Because when he's stationary and not involved with the offense, they just eat Brunson alive. And then when you pass it to Cat as a grenade, he's getting up inefficient shots. It doesn't look like the Knicks offense at all. Now, Oklahoma City does this against everybody. But if the Knicks have any sort of puncher's chance in the finals, this has to be resolved in advance so that we can recognize it works and we never go away from it. Jalen Brunson's at his absolute best when he's working off of the gravity and the sphere of influence that Karl Anthony Towns creates. Jalen Brunson hero ball does not work all the time. Hero ball for anyone, even Kevin Durant, does not work all the time. And the Houston Rockets showed us that this season. For the love of God, get Brunson his looks off of entry passes to Cat, period. Clay, not like us in the chat, says, thoughts on the Laker Thunder game? Enjoy these next 3 because it's the last 3 games that you're going to see the Lakers on the floor this season. That is as big of a mismatch as it gets. I will be stunned if the Lakers lose a game by less than double digits. This is just, between AJ Mitchell, Cason Wallace, Alex Caruso, and Lou Dort, you could put a compilation of shots in which the LA Lakers got more open looks. That makes no sense. You could put together a compilation of how many times the Lakers had a shot heavily contested that lasts longer than the compilation of open shots from the Lakers. They can't even look at the rim. They barely scored 90 points last night. The only reason they got to 90 is because OKC stopped caring in the final couple of minutes. OKC can run out their own triple jumbo lineup if they so wanted to. Jay Will, Hartenstein, and Chet Holmgren. They started 2 of them last night. They have hyenas all over the floor. It's like they're playing with 9 guys on defense. And because physicality is enforced differently now, they get away with everything because there's fewer whistles. They grab, they reach, they jump the passing lanes, they deflect everything. That was statistically Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's probably his worst box score of the season. Did anyone even notice that he scored less than 20 points? Like, the streak is over. Maybe the streak only applies to regular season, but he had 18 points last night. He had 7 turnovers. Those are James Harden numbers. And they still just wiped the floor with the Lakers. Even if Luka Doncic is out there, they got dusted, annihilated, and even emasculated by the Oklahoma City Thunder during the regular season. Luka would not cure anything. Nothing on the Lakers' current roster will work against Oklahoma City. They are top-heavy, star-heavy, perimeter-oriented, with one of the worst big men in the league that starts in DeAndre Ayton as their anchor. So if you're going to beat the Thunder up anywhere, it's got to be inside, because their hyenas are always going to force turnovers. And we're talking about a team that was historically great at taking live ball turnovers and converting them to points. Historically great. So historically great that Chet Holmgren was the favorite to win Defensive Player of the Year for the first half of the damn season. They have no chance. That series is over. They booked their flights to Cancun. It's been over. It was over the moment that the brackets came out. They will make as quick of work of the Lakers as they did the Suns. If you don't have an interior presence to really just try and bully ball those guys and maybe get Chet Holmgren into foul trouble, you have no chance. They didn't even have J-Dub, and they made the Lakers look like that. All right, let me catch up on some chats here. But yeah, Jared Vanderbilt. Did you guys see the Thunder bench last night when Jared Vanderbilt showed him his hands because he had a compound fracture where the bone was coming out of his body, and the Thunder players were like, "Ah!" and they scattered like roaches underneath a spotlight when they saw it. So he's fucked. He's out. Your only 3 or D guy, truly, besides Marcus Smart, like a true swingman, he's out. Now you got to rely on Jake LaRavia. Austin Reeves goes 3 for 1,000 from the field. Just, I'm listening. Tell me how you think the Lakers can get to 100 points total for a single game. If they shoot the lights out, great. They're going to have to make 10 contested 3-pointers, and that won't even be enough. Do people understand how good this defense is? Their defense is so good, it is their offense. And if for some reason this game is tight and we go into the half court in the final 5 minutes, oh, by the way, they have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Clutch Player of the Year, MVP. Good night. Good luck. All right. Sorry, let me catch up on the chat. Trendsetter app says they just should leave him in the game when he is in early foul trouble. Yeah, it's a risk and he may miss minutes if he fouls out, but if you take him out, you guarantee he misses minutes. Like, in a weird way, I'm glad Cat got punished and he had to sit out and watch, only play 20-something minutes, because the moment he has a brain fart is the moment he commits those ticky-tack fouls, and then he's got to be taken out. He's just too important. The entire Knicks defense is designed to clean the glass with the 2 best rebounders in the world. Karl Anthony Towns leads the league this year, and Mitchell Robinson, obviously. So when the Knicks finally get a stop It's not a real stop until you get the damn rebound. Otherwise, you got to play defense for a whole nother second chance opportunity possession. The Knicks do not forfeit those. That is why their defense has success, plus their wing stop combo of OG and Mikal. So when Cat's not on the floor, all of a sudden the Knicks are losing the glass. They haven't lost a single game on the glass all season long. Did they lose it tonight? Is this the first time? Let's find out. Can I get some charts, please? Game charts. Rebounding. The Knicks, for the first time this season, right here, 39-37, have lost the battle on the glass. And you can blame Karl Anthony Towns. Of course, Mitchell Robinson being out with an illness doesn't help. But you can blame Karl Anthony Towns and his inability to stay on the floor for this unacceptable result. 39-37 against a team that did not play a Dembona, Andre Drummond, or Joel Embiid practically for the entirety of the fourth quarter. And if Tyrese Maxey didn't have to be out there for practically every second of it and run out of gas, they could have easily stolen that game. Points in the paint, 56-30. That should have been 96-30 with the way Cat was treating some of those front court players for Philadelphia. And he just didn't get the chance to maximize it. So I personally feel like the Knicks have the best shot. Yeah, the Knicks are the team to beat in the East, but unfortunately, that's not the NBA. They're not going to beat the Thunder playing like this. I've moved on to the Thunder now. I think it's a formality. If they're what's going on with OG is a big deal because this series is not over, nor is a series against the Pistons a given if OG Anunoby's out. He is the most versatile player on the roster and arguably in the entire damn playoffs right now. Knicks win anything, that trade will go down as one of the best of all time. When he scores more than 20 points, the Knicks record is nearly flawless. There was a stretch when he first got to the team where the Knicks record was like 30-3 when he was active in the lineup or played a certain amount of minutes. He is the perfect player in 2026, the way that he can shoot the three, he can score off the dribble, he can also defend. He provides the switchability on defense. He's a hell of a rebounder. He can finish at the rim. He plays so big. Why is the chat so quiet? Why I'm pissed off of why is the chat more active and there's more people in here when there's a close finish in the Western Conference game? I understand this is a late night show, but we are not just reacting to what we saw 15 minutes ago. We're trying to talk about all games, all players, all topics. So it should not be contingent. People should not just be turning off the television and going to bed because it's a blowout. We should not be at the mercy of a close game, and that's the only way you want to have discourse around the NBA. Obviously, if you're listening to me bitch right now, you are not part of the problem. But this is a considerably quieter chat and timeline tonight when the game is a blowout. I really dislike everyone participating in the discourse only when games are close. And it's mostly directed at all the people who are not in here tonight. Started off this show with, and all they do is DM me, why didn't you go live? Why didn't you go live? I don't go live every single night. And then they're probably asleep right now. That's right. Ivan in the YouTube chat. Only the Spurs can beat the Thunder. That's probably the truth. The Spurs are the only hope because no one's going to beat them in the East. What's up? Hellwick says, this is my entertainment for a 3.5 hour drive back from San Antonio. Going back to Houston, I assume. Do we have 3.5 hours left in the stream? We do not. Especially on, I'm going to turn the stream off 15 minutes if people don't start participating. You've been getting around, Hellwick. Houston, covering the games in Houston. Did you cover the game tonight, credentialed, or did you just attend as a fan? Alex in the chat says, is Joel being out a blessing for the 76ers? And get them back in this series. He specifies they are better switchable defense, playing the way they should on offense, fast and free. Well, yeah, fast and free is one way to put it. But the style that they play with when Joel is out is the antithesis of him on the floor. They want to slow it down. They want to operate through him. Tyrese Maxey just revolves around, or orbits, I should say, Joel Embiid the same way the moon does the planet, as does everyone else on that team because Joel Embiid's on the ball so much. But without him, they have athletes. Oubre, Quentin Grimes, Edgecombe was tremendous tonight. How many punished threes did he hit? I mean, they really deserved the victory in a lot of different ways. If they had just a little bit more depth and they didn't get destroyed by Jordan Clarkson and our second unit of Deuce McBrides of the world, like our second unit has been beaten up on everyone, they could have stolen that game tonight. But yeah, if Tyrese Maxey's on the floor without Joel Embiid, the preferred style of play for the 76ers is going to be push, push, push all the time. Go, go, go. Because they got the guys to do it. And the Knicks do not, they can replicate that stuff, but I would say the preference is to slow it down and have Karl Anthony Towns put the ball above his head and go through the motions of a rather basic flex offense that is not so basic when Jalen Brunson is the one who is the alternative option. Thank you, YouTube chat. When I get a little testy, the easiest way to calm me down is just mention something about Anne Hathaway. There you go. Okay, I'm fine now. All the regulars in here, my steam, my venom is not directed at you. I know who you are. You don't need to comment and participate. I know you're there. What game are we playing, Andrew, by the way? I got to catch up on GTA 5 before the new one comes out. Just saw the trailer for Star Fox. Anyone see that shit for Switch 2? Looks awesome. Star Fox looks a little weird, though. But man, what a great game. Do I ever watch the Roommates podcast? No. I probably should, considering two of my favorite players are on it. I just don't have the time to watch podcasts. I have tennis to play. I have beach to go to. I'm driving from Maine to Nashville straight through. God damn. Stop demanding for me to talk about Terrence Shannon Jr. and drive your vehicle so you don't get into an accident, please. Helwig says, let's talk Spurs defense and transition game, then how they ballooned it to a 47-point lead. Yeah, they took advantage of all their fast guys tonight, didn't they? Interesting Mountain versus the Viper series we have between Minnesota and San Antonio. Because in game one, really looked to be a physical advantage for Minnesota. And I loved Wembanyama setting the message early tonight with the tip slam dunk as the first bucket of the game. And the Timberwolves started, if I'm not mistaken, with 3 straight turnovers. Like coming out and setting the tone was a big deal after getting, quite honestly, bullied in game one. I understand that the final score differential was only 2 points, but it was more so the style of play that Minnesota did not feel intimidated by these smaller players whatsoever. So now they certainly magnified their strengths by extending and stretching that Timberwolves offense so that they always had to see some version of a double or recovery. And it's that chaotic amoeba style defense. At least worked for tonight. Now it's going to be up to Chris Finch to make his chess move as they head back to the Target Center, where every single Minnesota Timberwolves role player has been awesome this year. Playing Marvel Rivals. Wait, is that like Capcom, Marvel versus Capcom? I used to play that in the arcade. Do kids know what arcades are? Andrew, I wonder if Zoomers know what arcades are. With the stand-up joystick games and stuff like that. What a time. Helwick says, "No, I went as a fan. Drove 3.5 hours to go to the game as a fan. Drive back 3.5 hours. My ETA is 3:22 a.m. and I got to be up by 9. You're a fucking sicko, Steve. Sicko. And I mean that as a compliment. That's a long. Is that just normal in Texas? Like, I'm going to go drive 3.5 hours. I can be almost in San Francisco. And people in Texas are like, I'm commuting to work. It's 3.5 hours. That's not that far away because nothing in Texas is close. Is that just normal? That's true. Okay. So Zoomers know what arcades are, but we didn't know what Pog Slammers were. Pogs were from the mid 90s. Yeah. Mid to late 90s. I used to go to the what was it called? Top something. It was like a hobby store. I would go pick up my Beanie Babies, my Pogs, and a copy of Mad Magazine every Friday. It would cost about $10. And my allowance from all my chores was usually like 20. So I'd spend half of my allowance on those three things. And then the other $10 I would just save or do something with. I was a kid. Fly Ass Mill says, I didn't get a chance to watch the games at work tonight, Wob, because it's the off night when it's not on Peacock or Prime. My YouTube TV is on pause till football season. How you feeling about the NBA Stream Wars? Great question. How many people out there, be honest, how many people out there didn't watch Cavs versus Pistons last night because it was on Peacock? I wouldn't blame you. I just today realized that NBC Sports Network, which is the alternative where you can watch the game on TV, it requires either a Comcast or a YouTube TV subscription. So if you have Sling, if you have Spectrum, if you have DirecTV, what I'm told is that you don't get access to NBC Sports Network. So that means you have to have Peacock. And are people that are not complete sickos like Steve Helwick driving across the state of Texas to go watch a 50-point blowout, are they signing up for Peacock? Not only paying for it, but signing up for it, which is a whole process, to watch a non-desirable NBA game unless it's your team. And I say non-desirable not as an insult, but there's a reason why it wasn't on the main channel, because it is the second game versus, they want to prioritize the Lakers and the Knicks NBC. Now, if you're curious about the business behind that decision where the games overlapped, this is an NBC reason. Like if you're looking for somewhere to point the finger and blame because you feel like you're a fan, you're not being well served. It's inconvenient. The reason for that was because NBC wants to maximize that 8 p.m. Eastern Seaboard broadcast window, which is prime time on the East Coast. And because they have so many affiliates that pay for Entertainment Tonight, Jeopardy, Wheel of Fortune, whatever, there's a whole other business for those legacy networks in which they very clearly did not want to interrupt when they can just put that one game on NBC and it will also not leak into the local news. So they want to get their viewers to local news by 11. And by doing that, just one game at 8 p.m. Eastern, they wouldn't have any overlap issues. During the regular season, basketball night in America, I think, is technically Sunday, but the main NBC night during the regular season was Tuesdays, and we would get an 8 p.m. tip-off on the East Coast and an 8 p.m. tip-off on the West Coast. And if you were only on the West Coast, I can't fucking speak. If you were on the West Coast, the only game that you can see through your NBC subscription or through the bunny ears was depending on your time zone and seaboard. So they are at least consistent with their business decisions, but any of these overflow games are always going to end up on Peacock. And they also, because Peacock loses billions of dollars right now, and they desperately need to start turning this thing profitable at some point, they are forcing people into Peacock, even though it is not a convenient experience. And they are also willing to sacrifice lower viewership to get signups. And why is the NBA okay with this? I'll give you 76 billion reasons why. Question in the YouTube chat. Why did Adam Silver agree to sign that deal? 76 billion reasons why. You're willing to put up with a lot of inconveniences when the checks are that large. What's up, Max? Says, I missed the Game of Thrones NBA references. Thank you for that. Oh, I've got a good one in the drafts for when the Cleveland Cavaliers inevitably lose this series, and it involves James Harden. I'm bringing back the GOT NBA crossover memes. You should already know what it's going to be. The whole James Harden shit is out of control right now. And he's so lucky that he had a good fourth quarter. I think he scored 7, 8, or 9 points in a row there in the middle of the fourth. But this was the third time during the postseason that he had more turnovers than made buckets. And his mere presence as the table setter and floor general for that Cavaliers offense results in a lot of standing around. You have Donovan Mitchell, who is now averaging nearly 9 threes a game and barely 2 free throws a game. He is no longer getting to the rim unless it's in the open floor in a fast break. There is a whole bunch of standing around waiting for Harden to break down a defense and either do Harden things, take a jumper, or defer. And when you make that trade for James Harden, we all know he's at his best version when he's on the ball. You don't want just to catch and shoot James Harden. You don't want it down on the block, ISO James Harden. Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant, they told us in the Brooklyn Nets, like, don't even bother asking us. That's the dude that we prefer getting us open. Like, James Harden is elite. He's an all-time great player, an MVP. He didn't win that shit by accident. He won all of that by being the best initiator on the floor. But there are some ramifications to it. And you have a Donovan Mitchell now who is just turning it into a catch-and-shoot guy all of a sudden, because he's got to wait for James Harden to get downhill and start the offense. Evan Mobley has turned into a three-point shooter for a couple of reasons. One, he too has to go out there and watch James Harden dribble a whole bunch. Number two, Evan Mobley's got something going on in his head that he's turning into Ben Simmons at the free throw line, and he doesn't want to shoot free throws. That percentage is near 60%. I think it causes him to be timid at the rim unless it's something in the open floor. And if you have an Evan Mobley, to his credit, he's been making a lot of those threes ever since he started the Raptor series, from the field. But if you have Evan Mobley taking a majority of his shots from the three-point line, what are we doing here? That is one of the most skilled and talented big men in the entire world, who showed us last night with Jared Allen in foul trouble that he can anchor a paint. And Jared Allen being in foul trouble now means that Evan Mobley can't do any defending of Cade Cunningham. That's why the Cavs are going to lose this series. Name me a guy right now on that roster who can defend Cade Cunningham in high volume and do it somewhat efficiently. You know who it was? DeAndre Hunter. It's not going to be Keon Ellis. It's not going to be Dennis Schroeder. It's not going to be Donovan Mitchell. It's not going to be James Harden. Those are all different variations of barbecued chicken temperature. Mild, medium, spicy, extra hot. All four of those names. Max Strus, barbecued chicken with Cade Cunningham. Cade's too big. He'll shoot over the top of every single one. Even if you could stay in front of him, he'll create enough space to just step back and get something comfy. The only guy on the floor is Dean Wade. And that means you got to be playing Dean Wade 35 minutes when he's a catch and shoot guy on offense like everyone else. They don't have any additional creators because Donovan Mitchell is just one of them. This is a terrible matchup for the Cavs. And after coming out of a series where the team that most closely mirrored Orlando in their roster construction, I just gave my fucking brain, people. This is what happens when you get old. You start saying things that you're thinking when you don't mean to say them at the time. And now I just don't make any sense. I said Orlando when I meant Detroit. I'm so frustrated. You lose your train of thought so much. What I was trying to say is the team that most closely mirrored Detroit is Orlando. Hard-nosed defensive team. Can't shoot. Doesn't have any secondary creators. But you know what they do have? Wendell Carter Jr., Jalen Suggs, Paolo Banchero. Go down the list. Plenty of guys that can be physical and have the size to at least make Cade Cunningham's life a living hell. Make it as difficult as possible for him to score points. And I thought they did a really good job of that. The problem is they can't hit water if they fell out of a boat. So they ultimately lost in 7 games. Desmond Bane, too. Just fucking dogs on defense. And now Cade Cunningham's just skipping through the park in this freedom that he has going up against a Cavaliers team that doesn't have a single defender in the same stratosphere as anyone on Orlando. I'm a little frustrated tonight. I'm sorry. I'm not making a lot of sense. I'm not having a good time doing this. I think I should sign off for the night. And we'll try again next time. Why don't we try again tomorrow or Friday? Maybe I'm just talking too much. My brain is mush. You know what? It probably was just I've been in a bad mood since the end of the first half of the Knicks game. And I prefer to do these shows when I can speak to you eloquently, with passion, and make some sense. But I feel distracted and I'm annoyed for various reasons. So instead of me continuing to yell at myself and get even more angry, I will say goodnight and just root for a police chase. So hopefully, like the Knicks, you guys can just compartmentalize this stream, put it in the pocket, the result of which may have been a W, but the process was poor. And we will move on to Game 3 tomorrow. Thank you for your patience, everyone. Wob is out.